A major political and constitutional controversy has erupted in the United Kingdom after Prince William, the Prince of Wales, made the unprecedented decision to withdraw from a key Commonwealth Day event hosted by Prime Minister Keir Starmer. The cancellation, delivered without explanation and just minutes before the prince was expected to arrive, has thrown both the government and the royal household into turmoil. What might once have been dismissed as a simple scheduling issue has instead become a defining moment in modern British politics, one that raises profound questions about the relationship between the monarchy and the elected government in the 21st century. The Bafari incident took place at Lancaster House in London, where the Prime Minister was presiding over an elaborate Commonwealth reception designed to showcase British diplomacy. More than 300 guests were already present, including ambassadors, high commissioners, senior civil servants, and dignitaries from across the Commonwealth. The atmosphere was formal yet celebratory. Cameras were positioned, speeches rehearsed, and a detailed running order prepared around the prince's arrival. Then, barely 15 minutes before the Prince of Wales was due, Kensington Palace issued a terse statement to the organizers and the press. It read simply, "The Prince of Wales will not be attending. No context, no apology, and no reason." Within moments, the event was thrown into confusion. Officials exchanged anxious looks, aides made hurried phone calls, and the diplomatic corps, accustomed to precision and etiquette, sensed that something extraordinary was unfolding. Reporters waiting outside were the first to pick up the whispers. When the palace confirmation arrived, social media erupted with speculation. Some wondered whether there had been a last-minute security concern or a sudden medical emergency. Others suspected political tensions. As the evening unfolded, however, palace insiders began briefing that this was not an accident at all. The prince's decision, they said, was deliberate, a protest against government plans that he viewed as a direct threat to the independence of the crown. At the heart of the dispute are a series of proposals put forward quietly by Starmer's Labour government under the heading of constitutional modernization. The plans, revealed through leaked draft documents, would reduce royal funding by tightening the sovereign grant, introduce ministerial oversight of royal overseas visits, and give Parliament new powers to review or veto senior royal appointments. Ministers insist the reforms are intended to enhance transparency and democratic accountability. But to many within royal circles, the measures represent something far more fundamental, a redrawing of the constitutional boundaries that have separated political authority from the symbolic power of the monarchy for centuries. To the casual observer, the disagreement might appear procedural. Yet within Westminster and Buckingham Palace, it cuts to the core of the British constitutional settlement. Since the Glorious Revolution of 1688, the monarchy's survival has depended on its neutrality and its ability to act as a unifying symbol above party politics. The crown reigns but does not rule. That delicate balance, maintained through convention rather than written law, has allowed Britain to combine democratic government with hereditary monarchy for more than 300 years. If the proposed reforms were to place royal functions under direct parliamentary control, many constitutional scholars warn that the monarchy would effectively cease to be independent and could be drawn into the daily battles of political life. According to sources close to Kensington Palace, Prince William had been privately alarmed for weeks. He reportedly told senior advisors that he could not appear alongside ministers promoting legislation that, in his view, undermined the institution he is destined to lead. For him, the issue was not personal wealth or privilege, but principle, the need to preserve the crown's freedom from government influence. If the monarchy becomes just another department of state, one aide was quoted as saying, then it loses the very thing that gives it meaning. At 8 o'clock that evening, after hours of speculation, Kensington Palace released a carefully worded statement from the prince. It was short and impeccably polite, yet the message was unmistakable. William reaffirmed his commitment to upholding the constitutional foundations and independence of the crown and emphasized his duty to defend the dignity of the institution his family has safeguarded for generations. The language was diplomatic, but legal experts and historians immediately recognized the statement as a constitutional warning shot. Professor Robert Hazel of University College London called it the most consequential royal intervention in decades. The single word independence, he noted, transformed a polite remark into a pointed rebuke of government policy. Modern convention dictates that members of the royal family remain politically neutral. They open parliament, host state visits, and perform ceremonial duties on behalf of whichever government voters elect. Direct criticism of ministers, even by implication, is virtually unheard of. The last comparable moment came during the 1956 Suez Crisis, when private messages between the palace and Downing Street caused behind-the-scenes friction, but never became public. In contrast, William's decision to boycott a government-led event in full view of the global media represents an open challenge unseen in more than 70 years. Inside Downing Street, the reaction was described by aides as shock quickly giving way to alarm. Officials learned of the cancellation not through the usual diplomatic channels, but via media alerts, suggesting that the decision had been taken at the highest level in the palace with minimal consultation. Foreign dignitaries at the event were left puzzled, and several Commonwealth representatives expressed quiet disappointment. For them, meeting the future monarch had been a central part of the evening's significance. The absence of the prince turned what was meant to be a demonstration of British unity into a tableau of internal division. The fallout in Westminster was immediate. Overnight polls recorded a striking surge in public sympathy for the prince. 68% of respondents said they supported William's stance, compared with only 14% who sided with the government. Even among Labour voters, barely one-third supported the reforms. For a government already grappling with inflation, healthcare pressures, and questions of public trust, the perception of conflict with the royal family could hardly have come at a worse moment. Within the Labour Party, a heated debate erupted. Some MPs urged Starmer to open direct dialogue with the palace and seek compromise, warning that alienating the monarchy risked alienating voters who value continuity and tradition. Others insisted that conceding would undermine parliamentary sovereignty and allow unelected royals to veto democratic reform. The dispute has split the party's ranks, with moderates calling for caution and the Republican wing urging the Prime Minister to press ahead regardless of public sentiment. The Conservative opposition quickly seized the opportunity. Party leader Rishi Sunak issued a statement of unwavering support for the monarchy and vowed to reverse the reforms if the Conservatives returned to power. The message, simple and emotive, resonated widely. Polling showed Conservative support jumping 7 points within 72 hours, their strongest performance since losing office. Even commentators who dismissed Sunak's pledge as political theater acknowledged that it placed Labour firmly on the defensive. Royal insiders insist Prince William is not alone. Princess Anne and Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, are said to share his anger at what they see as government overreach. Princess Anne, widely respected for completing more than 500 engagements each year without controversy, reportedly views the funding cuts as an attack on working royals who perform the daily labor that sustains the monarchy's public role. Quiet discussions are said to be underway among senior royals about coordinated non-attendance at official government events if the reforms proceed. Such a boycott, though largely symbolic, would severely disrupt Britain's diplomatic calendar. Royal participation underpins state dinners, investitures, and ceremonial openings. Without it, the rituals that project British soft power abroad would quickly lose their authority. The implications stretch far beyond protocol. Britain's constitution is famously unwritten, built on conventions and mutual respect rather than a single codified document. It works only when both Crown and government observe limits that are understood but never formally stated. If those conventions collapse, there is no legal blueprint to follow. Constitutional scholars have warned that a sustained confrontation between the monarchy and an elected government could lead to a crisis without precedent in the post-war era. Professor Hazel described the standoff as the most serious Crown government conflict since the Second World War, cautioning that once such disputes enter the public sphere, retreat becomes politically perilous for both sides. The controversy also reverberates internationally. Prince William has invested considerable effort in strengthening the Commonwealth, a network of 56 member states linked by history and cooperation. 15 of those countries still recognize the British monarch as head of state. Diplomats from several of these nations have reportedly conveyed their unease to London, warning that diminishing the monarchy's stature could weaken the organization's cohesion. Some have even expressed